Welcome to On Approach, your go-to podcast for expert insights in general aviation, proudly brought to you by AirMart. AirMart is a family-owned and operated aircraft brokerage that has been serving the aviation industry for over 50 years. We provide everything you need to make buying, leasing, or selling an aircraft simple and rewarding. Visit airmart.com to learn more. Our podcast discusses the latest trends, tips, and industry developments that matter most to pilots, aviation enthusiasts, and industry professionals. So buckle up, tune in, and get ready for a smooth descent into the exciting realm of On Approach.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of On Approach, your trusted resource for expert insights in the world of general aviation. I'm Kim Sutherlin, Vice President of Development at AirMart, and your host for today's episode. If you're gearing up for EAA AirVenture 2024, just curious about what goes on behind the scenes at one of the largest aviation gatherings in the world, you're in for a treat. I'm thrilled to be joined by our 2023 OshKosh team, our sales executives, Savane, Tate Preece, and Whitney Wooldridge. Whitney, Sav, and Tate have all been to OshKosh last year, and they have a lot of stories to tell and a lot of advice to give to expect for AirVenture 2024. Okay, so let's talk about 2023. What was the highlight of your experience and why, Sav?
It's such a unique environment to see all people of all walks of life and all facets of aviation come in, from the casual enthusiasts, RC airplanes, amateur pilots, professional pilots, military pilots, and it's an international event. I was sitting at a table eating a hamburger with some Australians. They had obviously traveled a great distance to attend the show, but it's just an incredible event where passion is shared amongst those that like things in aviation. So it's really a blast.
How about you, Tate? What was your highlight?
2023, I thought, was just overall a really good year. The weather cooperated. So
that's important.
That's always a variable up there that you can't predict. It can be cold or it can be a lot of thunderstorms and very, very wet. I think our first year that we went there, there was a lot of rain. So, every year we go, we kind of get the lay of the land a little bit more. And last year just felt like all the pieces fell into place and it was a really good show.
Oh, great. How about you, Whit?
For me, it was a solid tie. So it's always special to get to meet a customer for the first time. And it's just a cherry on top whenever they fly their airplane that I sold them in. So that's always special. Also, Boeing had their dream lifter in. So I got to see it take off. And I definitely cried a little bit. It was very cool. Big Boeing nerd here.
That is very cool. So how was it different than you expected?
It was my third year, so it was typically the same. It was extremely hot last year. That was my biggest challenge of OshKosh 2023. I think the high on our last day was 97. So
that is hot.
And when
even
you're
for Wisconsin,
oh
right?
yeah,
that's hot. So just the weather was a surprise.
The weather.
How was it different than you expected? Was it different? Is it different every year? You talked about the weather being different every year, but does it evolve every year?
Some aspects do and some don't. So for the most part, most of the vendors are in the same place every year and have similar setups. I think a couple were different last year, so that was unexpected. And they kind of did it bigger and better. So some things do change every year.
Okay. How about you, Saw?
Yeah. To dovetail off Whitney's point, we saw the Dream Lifter. So the planes that they feature in Boeing Plaza change every day almost.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow,
So
that's a lot of work.
So the Dream Lifter was there, the Super Guppy. We saw an F-35 up close with armed guards. It's just really interesting and such a dynamic environment because it changes.
Okay, great. Well, let's talk about how you guys got there. So how did you get to OshKosh?
We flew our company Cirrus SR-22, number 4971, and we have a habit, a routine now, because we've all done OshKosh several years in a row. We land at a neighboring airport, and we'll get our rental car there, and then we drive to the show. So that's proven very well because we can secure hangar space, and
a little bit out of the chaos, out of the fray.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not brave enough to fly into OshKosh.
It's a lot. Yeah. I mean, you see the footage of it, there's just plane after plane after plane. Yeah, that would be a lot. So where did you fly into?
We flew into Waukesha, which is
Okay.
in the suburbs of Milwaukee.
Sure. All right.
Yeah.
And then you just rental card it.
Rental car, yeah,
Yeah.
hour and a half drive or so.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can get a rental
Not
car at
bad.
the FBO. I think it's right at an hour drive.
Okay. So that's a good, especially if you're coming from really far. An hour on the ground is not that big of a deal at all.
No, not at all.
How about where did you guys stay? And would you recommend it in the future?
So we had an Airbnb in Appleton, which
Okay.
is just north of OshKosh. That was the first time that we have actually stayed in Appleton. It was a really nice town, a lot quieter than the hustle and bustle of OshKosh that week. So it was nice to kind of escape in the afternoons to a quiet, mellow Wisconsin evening.
Right.
So,
So would you agree? Was it worth a little bit of a commute?
Yeah, I
from
mean, the drive wasn't even bad. What was it, like 25 minutes?
Yeah, maybe
going
20
in?
minutes.
Yeah, and it's just a straight shot. So
Yeah, right on the water. Really, actually, that was my first time in Appleton when we stayed there, and it's a very nice town.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And so, had you guys stayed in a hotel at all before? Or has it always been an Airbnb situation
it's always been an Airbnb.
and a little bit off the field?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you come in a little bit.
I mean, the OshKosh Airbnbs, they book up at least a year in advance for a great year of
Close to,
OshKosh.
yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say, probably at least in the hotels. There's no. I mean, those are probably booked 2 years in advance.
Yes.
Mhm.
So,
And 3 times more expensive
yeah,
than what they
well,
usually are.
that's true. Yeah, well, that's the big event
Yeah.
of the year for people in OshKosh. That's true.
Fortunately, there's a lot of accommodations that are available if you plan ahead. Tate and I's first year of OshKosh together in 2019, we were couch surfing on a family member's couch in Milwaukee. So the accommodations have gotten gradually nicer.
That's
and,
nice. Yes.
yeah. So
That's
a
hilarious.
little late to the game that year.
So you all would definitely recommend like looking at the variety of Airbnbs and being just a little bit off the field and driving in instead of trying to be in the fray.
we applaud the enthusiasts who camp with their airplanes.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it. Have any of you camped yet? Where you've
No.
gone in?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
Jake, you want to do
Maybe-
that this year? Take the Mooney?
You want to take the Mooney go camp?
You look like a
2024?
camper.
I think we already have an
Basically,
Airbnb
everyone-
booked.
That's true.
So.
You do have an Airbnb booked for this year. Maybe 2025 would be
Maybe
the
next
year of the
year.
camping.
Yeah, you're in the camping. I
Yeah,
agree.
I think that could be fun. We will. It's full experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of RV accommodations. So a
Oh,
lot
okay.
of people drive their RVs or campers and they have
Like a site
Lots-
where you can
lots
plug in and stuff.
dedicated to
Okay.
it. I mean, I bet there's thousands of campers there on the
Okay.
grounds.
That is not something that I expected. Okay, that makes sense. Well, how about share a story from 2023 that to you just kind of encapsulated the spirit of the event? A story that happened to you. You can start with you. You look like you have a
So,
story in mind, Whitney.
It's not an OshKosh without one storm. Every single year, there's a huge storm. And what stood out to me is that all the people that flew in, they banded together. They helped each other, saran wrap their airplanes, make sure that they were covered against, hail damage and store damage.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, general aviation, it's such a small community, but it's such good people in the community.
Mhm.
And I think just seeing everyone come together in the common love of their airplane.
Saran wrap. That's one I had not heard of. Are you guys familiar with saran
Did I
wrap?
say the right thing? It's
I don't know. What's
you
it?
put it on the wings, so if it hails, it hits the
Yeah,
saran
I
wrap,
think we
bounces
saw
off.
some saran wrap
Yeah.
last year. They'll put, sheets and bedding and anything on top
Okay.
of the
Yeah.
airplane to
I mean,
protect it. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. How about you, Tate?
You always run into somebody that you're not expecting. And last year was no different. So we're walking down the main Boeing Plaza drag and you're shoulder to shoulder with people kind of in that area in the middle of the day. And you hear your name get yelled out across the way. And it's a customer that you sold an airplane to a couple of years ago. And he recognizes you and you get to meet up with them again. So
He recognized you probably for your Top Gun.
it might have been from that marketing
From your
material.
Well, that's awesome. Have you seen any celebrities there?
I have not, but I did hear a story last year.
Okay.
So Harrison Ford is a pilot,
Sure. Of course.
and they said 1 year. This actually came from Travers, our aviation insurance partner.
Yes.
They said they had a booth set up 1 year, and they kind of looked up and they're like, "That looks like Harrison Ford." And they said he had a kind of a bucket hat on and sunglasses, and he was just walking through all the exhibitors. and nobody really noticed him. And
Sure.
they picked him out of the crowd, and they said about 30 minutes later he had a following. So
That's
everybody
cool.
else recognized him, but no, I can't say I've seen a celebrity that I recognize.
Okay. Well, they're probably, aviators. All
Incognito.
caps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy to be incognito, I'm sure. How about you, Sav?
Oh, memory.
Yes, a story from 2023
Sure.
that you felt just really highlighted the spirit of the event.
Yeah, the last day that we were at OshKosh, we spent some time on the North 40, which is where a lot of people camp with my customers. It was
Okay.
hot. We had been out in the sun for 4 or 5 days at that point. We were all had a good tan going and a little dehydrated. And my customers, I sold them in Dakota earlier that year. They flew to OshKosh. That was their first time attending together, and we sat out and had a cold beverage with them underneath the wing of their airplane, and that was a perfect way to wind down another successful OshKosh trip. So I think that was nice, and you can definitely see that sense of community and camaraderie going on between other aircraft owners and people that are staying there at the field.
Yeah, that almost sounds quintessential.
Yeah, it does.
OshKosh,
Absolutely,
yeah. Having a cold beverage under the wing of a plane.
Yep.
Sorry, you're not flying.
I know that OshKosh is a time when manufacturers and some of the other back up,
Vendors, aviation
yeah,
enthusiasts.
Right. Let me
Yeah.
back up for a minute. I know that OshKosh is a time when a lot of the manufacturers and other vendors to the industry launch or introduce something new. So do you remember anything from 2023 that was an exciting new introduction?
So Textron Aviation brought the Beechcraft Denali, which was very impressive to see in person. In years prior, they brought kind of a full-scale mock-up, but to see the actual airplane there and talk to some of the pilots who had flown it was very impressive. So that's an exciting segment in the single-engine turboprop world.
Did they
To
actually
see.
fly it? Like, did they take it off and did it take
They
off
flew
to
it in.
land?
They flew it in.
They
We
flew
didn't.
it in,
Yeah,
right,
we didn't.
but it wasn't a demonstration.
Yeah.
No, they didn't do a demonstration.
Yeah.
It's not certified yet.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, it's not certified yet. Is that what you said? Okay.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
cool, though. That's
Yeah.
very, very cool. How about you, Tate? Was there something that really impressed you that came out as new?
Saw took what I was going to say. But it was
Oh,
impressive.
it was that impressive. That's good.
It was probably the biggest thing at the show that was
Yeah,
new.
awesome.
And Textron's setup is across the street from Pilatus. So
Okay.
the two airplanes were kind of right by each other there.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
And it's impressive how large the Denali is.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Larger than PC-12, huh? That much bigger.
It stands very tall.
Very cool. How about you, Whit?
I had the Denali.
Oh, okay. So
Shout out to all of us.
Denali, hands
Trifecta,
down.
yeah.
Hands down, Denali wins for the new introduction. Okay, fabulous. Let's see. Let's talk about challenges. We talked about the fun things. So let's talk about challenges that you faced and the solutions that you came up with to solve those challenges. How about you, Tate?
Let's come back.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
Think of a big challenge. Everything went very smooth last year.
So
Oh,
they're going to
that's-
steal your ideas. Here
Yeah,
you go.
Sav, what was the challenge that you had?
So to Tate's point, it was actually a very smooth OshKosh for us, for the three of us that attended. Weather always presents an issue. We got thanked profusely by one of the gatekeepers, a woman who was manning the gate at the entrance, because we had given her a poncho, one of our AirMart branded ponchos,
Sure.
and there was a deluge later that day, and we saw her again the next day when we were entering, and she thanked us. Her and her daughter utilized those ponchos. So ponchos, some kind of rain protection is definitely a good idea. Hydration is the other one. It is
Sure.
hot. You're out in the weather. So, staying hydrated and protected from the elements is critical.
Be ready for all the elements.
Exactly.
right?
All of them at any given time.
How about you, Whit?
The heat last year, it was just so hot. When you're like starting your 7th mile of walking around, that's when it really gets you. So bring your hydro flask, fill it up with water every chance you can. That's the best advice I can give anyone watching this.
And comfy shoes.
And
Yeah, I was going to say, did
comfortable
anyone
shoes.
track their steps? Did you keep track of your steps every day?
Apple
Yeah.
Watch 7,
So,
at least
like,
we
easily
average
7
7
miles?
miles every
Okay.
day. Yeah.
I thought it was like 13.
Oh, wow.
I need to start doing smaller steps, I guess.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so comfortable shoes, hydration, ready for the weather.
Yep.
Okay. So based on what you guys have experienced so far with all the years that you've been to OshKosh, let's see, it's already May at the time that we recorded this. What should people know if they still want to go? I know that we've talked about the hotels and the Airbnbs being mostly sold out. I'm sure there's still opportunity to find a place to stay. But what do people want to know if they still want to make it?
I guess if they're thinking about going, book what you can now, because what's available is going to get gobbled up extremely fast.
Okay.
So that's the best advice I can give.
Okay.
If you see something, take it.
Yeah, if you see it, book it, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
If you're thinking about flying in, I don't think EAA has published the NOTAMs yet. So they publish a packet of NOTAMs if you're flying actually into OshKosh.
Okay.
It might come out by the time that this gets released.
Sure.
So definitely read that several times if you're going to fly into OshKosh. Be familiar with the procedures. There's a lot going on flying in there, but people do it safely. So just be informed of how to do it.
Okay. South, how about you?
General admission tickets are still available, so
That's true.
Yep. Pick them up.
Absolutely. And for myself, you know, being from Chicago, which is not far from there, I'd say make it a big weekend. You know, make it a big trip where you can fly into somewhere else outside of OshKosh and maybe just day trip it up
Absolutely.
for a day or two. And,
Yep.
and
Great
get,
Good
suggestion.
advice.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trip
absolutely.
to Milwaukee, trip to Chicago, and then zip in. Yeah.
Exactly.
Not bad.
Yeah, hop in. So definitely don't miss it. What tips would you offer to first-time visitors to navigate the event successfully? So what should they prioritize? Is there a better day of the week or the other? We'll start with you, Tate.
There's a lot more going on in the second half of the week as far as viewing of air shows, etc.
Okay.
If you want to meet one-on-one with vendors and maybe buy new products, I would recommend going the first half of the week.
Okay.
So that's when the business kind of tends to take place. They will sell out of products towards the end of the week. So depending on
that's good.
what you're going for, first half of the week's more business, second half of the week is more pleasure and entertainment.
Okay. How about you, Whitney? Would you agree with that or would you add to that?
I agree with that. And I mean, look at the map. So there's a big map of OshKosh that says where all the vendors are. And, if there's certain things that they want to hit, I would recommend, looking at the map, seeing where they are, and just planning a day to hit this facet of aviation. You want to look at avionics, plan Monday. If you want to look at, the new aircraft that's just been introduced by all the manufacturers, you can do that on Tuesday. But it's a really laid back environment. So just have fun with it, take your time, and everything will fall into place.
Okay.
What
How's-
I'm hearing is a lot of ground to cover.
I was
There's
going
a
to
lot
say,
of ground
how
to cover.
spread out is it? So I know you're
Plan
saying you walk
accordingly.
probably 7 to 13 miles. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll split the difference and say 10 miles a day of walking around.
Sure.
How
Yeah.
expansive is all the exhibits in the whole event? Like if you were to walk from one end to the other, how far do you think it is?
42.2 square miles.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
No, I have no
he, has
idea.
he has no idea. He's,
Beautiful.
he's
So-
teasing it. Yeah. Sal, do you know?
I know I don't. I was going to say someone should do a Google search for the acreage of the grounds.
We should, yeah.
It's pretty substantial, and there's of course the main drag and Boeing Plaza and all of the surrounding vendors, which encompasses a significant chunk of the show. But there's also the North 40, which is where people camp, and they have shuttle service. I mean, it is a big enough event that shuttle service is offered to be able to navigate to different parts of the airfield.
Okay.
And so it's a lot. I would guess north of 1,000 acres.
We have
Yes.
the grounds divided up. So there's obviously the camping areas. There's the North 40 and the South 40. But kind of around Boeing Plaza is where all the OEMs and all the big vendors are in
Okay.
the certified world. Just south of there, you get into the Warbirds.
Okay.
I think they call it Warbird Village.
Yep.
And then going to the north, you kind of start to get into the experimental side of the aviation things.
Okay.
So, just like what Whitney said, good planning, look at the map and kind of make a list of what you're there to see.
And we haven't even touched the sea base. I've never been. So there's areas. I mean, the show is so large that
Mhm.
even with 4 or 5 years under our belt of attending the show, there are parts that we haven't been to.
Oh, wow. So there's always, so don't worry if you don't get to it all. You can always have a reason to come back.
Yes,
Kind of thing.
absolutely.
You will not see it all in one trip.
Okay. Good to know. What about like accessibility? Did you notice if they took care of people that maybe had, needed a wheelchair or needed some additional help?
Yeah, for those that are differently abled, they have plenty of offerings and resources. There's also medical tents for people that get dehydrated or
Okay.
might have an incident. So
Sure.
it's you can tell that this show has been going on for a long time because they've thought of about everything that could or will happen at the show. And I would say for the most part, it's easily accessible for all.
Okay.
Just outside the main gate, there's typically vendors there set up that have electric scooters.
Oh,
So
sure.
Those are
Okay.
pretty popular. They'll let you bring them onto the grounds, I guess, if you rent one.
Right.
We've never done that, but if you're not looking forward to walking as much as we did, that would be a good option.
Okay. Electric scooter, like the kind they have in the grocery store?
Like four wheels.
Or
yes.
like, yeah,
similar,
so you sit in
a little
it,
more.
not the like razor scooters,
No,
but with the basket in the front or whatever,
Correct,
so you
yeah.
can get all the bling from all the different. Okay.
Yeah, four wheels, a little more durable than the ones you'll see at Kroger, but
Okay. Yeah, there you go. You said that you looked like you had a question.
No, I was just going to say ask the same question. What type of scooter is it?
Yeah. What kind of scooter? Yeah.
Senior citizen scooter, or is it?
It's not a bird scooter.
it's not a bird.
Gotcha. That is really funny. Okay. Okay. So what items are a must? What, before you leave your Airbnb for the morning, what do you want to have on hand, Sav?
Sunscreen.
Direct eye contact with pale Whitney. Sunscreen.
Yeah, sunscreen, yes.
Lifesaver.
Sunscreen, hydration. I mean, that's the biggest. The food vendors there are great. You can get your fill of fried cheese curds if you wish. So
sure, wouldn't be Wisconsin without cheese curds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, typically we pack pretty light as far as that goes, and just prioritize sunscreen, rain gear, and hydration.
Okay. Yeah.
Comfortable shoes.
Comfortable
Definitely.
shoes, Band-Aids, maybe for blisters.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know that mosquitoes have ever really been a problem. Not that I remember. Maybe at the seaplane base.
I bet they fog. On the regular.
Probably.
After hours, I'm sure.
Maybe a bag if you're going to collect stuff, but a lot of people have the string backpacks that they'll just
sure.
get
They
off for
offer
free.
it to you.
Yeah.
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 So
Boeing
there.
and For Flight, they always have a bunch. So
Okay, so
Nice.
here's a question: who has the best bling?
Oh,
Flight had a really nice bag.
they
You
did.
remember
A
the bag
tote.
that Flight? Yeah.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Flight did a really nice tote.
are we talking free or
Free
Free
Free.
thing.
Okay.
free bling.
Wheelan had nice swag as well.
Yep.
AirMart had some nice ponchos.
Yeah.
Of course, that's right.
Yeah.
Everyone has some nice swag this year as well.
Very much
Yes.
so.
Come
Yes,
track
they
us
will.
down if you want to punch up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You may need one. Get one before it's too late.
Yeah.
We'll try to have quite a
Also
few, I'm
was
sure.
last.
Yeah. What about, do you have any hacks, any insider secrets, anything that, you've learned that you're like, we're not going to do that, or we did it differently this year and we got everything
Well,
that we needed?
I think we've already shared it, and that is flying into a neighboring airport.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is going to not become a hack because we'll probably show up to Waukesha and the ramp will be full. It'll look like OshKosh has moved south. So that's served us really well. It gives us a chance to explore Milwaukee for the day and then head north towards the show. So that's been our secret.
And how
Secret
much time
weapon.
is it on the ground again from Milwaukee to
A little over an hour.
about an hour?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said this previously, but if you don't like the crowds, go the first half of the week. It's a lot less crowded. You can have a lot more time one-on-one with the vendors and
Mhm.
hands-on with avionics and stuff like that if that's what you're looking
Okay.
for. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are definitely the days for that.
Okay.
Towards the weekend, it gets a little busier. That's when the traffic starts to back up on the interstate there.
This is
So
when more local people are coming
Yes,
to
yeah,
share
yes.
in the event. That makes sense. What about things like the fireworks shows and the things that people want to come to that are the big, festivities? What nights are those generally on?
I think the night air show is on Wednesday,
Okay.
and they might have another one like on Saturday.
Saturday, the like on the end of the show.
Tail end of the show.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Believe
Check
so.
the website to double check me
Of
on that one.
course.
But yeah, bring a chair that night. A lot of people set up on the flight line and watch the night air show and the fireworks at the end of it.
Okay, great. So I know that one of the reasons that we had you all go is to network with other people in the community, not just your customers, but other people in the business. So what opportunities exist for people if that's what they want to go to OshKosh for?
Absolutely. We all had a very productive visit as well. Lots of our clientele attend the show either casually or for personal reasons or in a business capacity. So it's nice to connect and meet some of these people face to face because there are times where we don't get to meet them. We might engage in an aircraft transaction, but it's not in our custody and they buy it without ever meeting us face to face. So OshKosh is a great opportunity to connect and get to know these people on a more personal level.
Actually see them.
Yep.
That's really a good idea. Did you have any specific connections, Tate, that stand out to you?
A couple customers, I'm not going to mention their names,
Okay,
but
sure.
yeah, it's good to see them every year for some of them. And then others, like I said, they'll yell your name out of the crowd and kind of just recognize you and you get to meet them one-on-one, face-to-face. But Yeah, if there's any vendors or anybody that you want to meet, I mean, this is the week to do it in aviation. Everybody that is in the aviation community is in Wisconsin that week.
Sure, that makes perfect sense. And I know that Grant, we have the sales executives going to a couple of the big manufacturer dinners, correct?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
where will we be this year when
So this year we're going to be attending the ABS dinner. So we'll be there.
American Bonanza Society?
Yes. We will also be at the COPA dinner as well. So we will definitely be attending that. And then I think you and I and 3 others are going to be also attending
The gathering.
The gathering.
Yes,
Yes.
it's the big charity event.
So yes, so we'll be there as well at the
Excited
gathering.
about
So
that.
that's supposed to be a
That's supposed to
really
be
amazing charity event that we look forward to.
Okay, great. Whitney, what advice do you have for making the most of the connections that you make when you're at
Oh.
OshKosh?
Sorry, one other
Oh,
important thing.
Absolutely.
Don't forget that we ourselves, AirMart, is going to be having
Of course.
our customer dinner on Wednesday night and our customer appreciation lunch on Thursday. So those are invitation events as well.
Thank you. We were going to get to talk about that.
Oh yeah, this just in. This just in.
Yes. Okay. Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Anyway, so Whitney, what can you do to make the most? What have you done to make the most of the connections that you've made at OshKosh?
Well, if you have a memory like mine, don't be afraid to have your phone out and write down every single thing you learned from the person you meet. Whether you have to, kind of reach on your back and type notes or, sling it out as the second they walk away. And that would be my biggest advice, just so you don't forget it.
Forget, 'cause
And
there's
also-
so many, right?
Yeah. And don't be afraid to get out of your shell. I'm not the most, outgoing person, but when it comes to OshKosh, I put out and I meet as many people as I can and try to have meaningful conversations with every single person.
Okay, well, that's good advice. What are the things that you just don't want to miss when you're there? Like, what are the can't miss, either an exhibitor or an event? Like, what should people make sure they run to and go and see? Tate?
I would say the night air show is one of them.
Okay.
It's very impressive, the show that they put on.
What makes it so impressive?
It's not something you typically see done. Most air shows are done during the day.
Sure, of course.
So to do it at night is already one unique aspect. They'll typically put like fireworks and sparklers on the wingtips of the airplanes.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah, Nathan Hammond's show is incredible. Yeah, he
Okay.
literally has fireworks all over his airplane. It's amazing.
That sounds amazing.
yeah, so it's very unique. So
Okay.
definitely recommend
Okay.
checking that out.
Saab, what are you going to run to go see?
Oh gosh. Regardless of the day, there are oftentimes fighter jet aircraft flying overhead, and so it's just so much fun to have an F-22s come screaming overhead, and then you see an F-18, and then you see the F-35, and so your eyes are just as much up in the sky watching what's flying overhead as they are looking in front of you. Sometimes more up in the sky than they are in front of you, and then bring those Band-Aids just in case. But there's just so much to see and so much going on land and in air.
I think we forgot some essential gear now that you mentioned that.
Oh.
Hearing
Earplugs,
protection.
yeah.
Oh,
An
okay.
F-22 is so loud that it will shake the ground when it comes up top of
Okay.
you.
So a little, like, at least a little spongy
Yeah.
to bring
Yep.
with you. Okay. That's good advice. Excellent.
What?
Right, yeah. For sure. Yes. I'm married to a pilot. I get that. Whitney, how about you?
I'm a big Boeing Plaza girl. I want to see the 747 if they have it. The first year I went, they had an L-1011, which is my favorite airplane of all time. So I will be geeking out in Boeing Square.
Okay.
Maybe cry if I see that plane take off again.
It's like Mecca, right?
Yes,
Okay.
literally.
I understand. Now, you had talked about breaking up your day before. So if you were going to build a dream itinerary,
Mhm.
how would you build the itinerary to go?
Okay, so I probably would focus on the manufacturers the first day. So hit, Diamond, Textron, Beechcraft, Cessna. Well, it's Textron. Who else is there? Piper, Spark,
Yours.
Cirrus,
Of course, Cirrus.
and then
Diamond.
TBN.
maybe cut out that whole section of me not being able to name off manufacturers. I only sell multiple kinds of airplane today.
Can you tell that she's a Piper salesperson?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Piper.
That is true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, but focus on the manufacturers first day. Second day, focus on, the vendors like Garmin, Avidyne, see what new avionics they're coming out with. Third day, maybe wander down to the Warbirds. Check that out. and then you have the experimental area. Then you have the seaplane coast that we've never even been to. So, I mean, there's just a facet of aviation for every single person.
That's on my to-do list this year.
Is it on
I
your
want to go
to-do
to the
list that
seaplane
you've
base.
missed it? That's
Yeah.
one
I wanna
of
go
your
with
priority
you.
items
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
sea. I think you should.
On the lake
Absolutely.
plane.
What would your ideal itinerary look like, Tate?
I would say Monday, Tuesday, hit the OEMs and the exhibitors. There's like 4 exhibitor halls, I believe, and hit those before they get too crowded on Monday and Tuesday. And that way the rest of the week can be kind of blocked off for customer interactions and
Sure.
just meeting new people. So get it out of the way early. There's always things that are going to come up later in the week. So have some time in there to see those.
Okay. What underrated experience ended up being something that you were really glad that you didn't miss? It ended up being a pleasant surprise and that maybe people should consider going to. Sav?
Come back to me. Thanks.
Tate, do you know of any, like, what underrated experience that maybe you weren't too excited about going to or you didn't really know much about ended up being a really big surprise and you were glad you went?
Can I talk about the SOS Brothers tent?
Can you talk about the what?
SOS Brothers tent.
I was going to say Spotted Cow's the
It's basically
number
just a
one.
big party.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. why
Yeah,
not?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So close to the main entrance, I believe, like the main road in between the parking and like the front gate, there's this large tent. I believe it's the SOS Brothers tent.
Okay.
And it is known by the big yellow balloon that is a couple hundred feet in the air. You can see
Okay.
it from all
So
over the
not
grounds.
subtle at all.
No,
Not
big
subtle.
smiley
Okay.
face.
They want you to know it's there. So pretty much every evening they have a bar, a band, a ton of people go there. And if you want to socialize and meet new people, they have fire pits set out and food vendors. That is a good place to do it. So
Okay.
if you're looking for something to do in the evening, maybe venture towards the big yellow balloon.
The big yellow balloon. Have you all been, Whitney and Sav too? It was a good time.
Oh,
Yeah.
You had
It was
fun.
a lot of fun.
Always.
It was a
And
surprise.
you'll also have, vendors like Travers. He had a meet and greet at the SOS Brothers tent around like 6 p.m. So a lot of good people set up and want to meet you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. If you had one piece of advice, just general advice about anybody who's wanting to go to OshKosh this year, what would it be?
Do it.
Just do it.
You won't regret it.
I like
no
it.
matter
Yeah.
if you go
Yeah.
for a day or you go for the entire week, you fly in, you're just there a couple hours. It is something to see.
Carve out the time.
Just make the time and
Yeah.
go. If you're thinking about going, the answer is yes.
Yes.
Yep.
You should go. Absolutely.
Just don't forget your sunscreen.
And don't forget your sunscreen. Okay. So now AirMart, now us as a team, we're doing OshKosh different this year than we've ever done before. So you know what, Grant, I'm gonna let you, haven't had much time to talk so far. So talk a little bit about how we're doing OshKosh different this year and what that means.
Sure, I'd be happy to do that. So this year we are going to do OshKosh bigger than we ever have before. Before we've had more of just, hey, let's go, let's be attending and let's meet with our customers and, go where they are and be able to be fluid and not be stuck in a booth. And so this year we're going to take another approach to that, and we are going to be by Garmin. So our tent is going to be set up by Garmin. We have a 30 by 30 customer appreciation tent. And it's going to have some of the most key elements that you're going to want for OshKosh. So as you've heard throughout this, the heat. So we are going to have an air-conditioned tent. So it'll be a nice, cool tent. And we're going to have plenty to drink. So we will have water, Gatorade. So we will have refreshments, and we will have an amazing opportunity for you to meet the people that you've bought these aircraft from face to face. I know there are many times we'll have transactions where you never meet your sales executive. So we're going to have our entire sales team is going to be in this tent. So both sales executives, sales associates. So our team of 8 in the sales arena are going to be there. We are also bringing our maintenance manager. So if you have maintenance questions that you want to ask about your aircraft, how do I maintain this, or how do I troubleshoot this problem? And they're all used airplane, and they all have their own set of challenges that can come up over time. So we're going to have him there as well. That's Austin Borland. So we're excited about that. We're also going to have Matt Gabbard. Matt is going to be there. Matt is a CSIP. And he's also a demo pilot, has flown literally hundreds of different makes and models of
He's
aircraft.
flown it all.
So if you have questions about that. And with our sales team there, we're going to offer what we're wanting to make sure that we do is we're wanting to help you through your aviation journey. So we are going to have aircraft cost calculators available. So if you're wanting to know, hey, I'm thinking about a TBM or I'm thinking about a Piper Mirage, you're thinking about that next step, we're going to be there with our laptops open and ready to try to help you analyze what those future costs can be. And then you can talk to Matt about what potential flight training, what does that look like? Am I stepping up too fast? So we'll have Matt, who's the CFII CSIP, there to be able to help you with your training. If you have maintenance questions, you're like, hey, what's this going to cost? What's the annual going to cost? What can I expect down the road? So we're going to have Austin Borland there, who is our maintenance manager. So we're bringing our team to be able to help you through your customer journey. So we're really looking forward to this. We're going to also have a dinner. It's a limited dinner. We're only going to have 40 guests. So we're going to have a dinner on Wednesday night. And then we're going to have a luncheon on Thursday for those that couldn't make it to the dinner. So it's
also limited to 40.
Yeah, limited to 40. So
Thursday
RSVP, but it's our treat for dinner and it's our treat for lunch. And we look forward to the customers, or if you're thinking about doing business with us or you'd like to do business with us. So it's a customer appreciation tent, and it's also a future customer appreciation tent.
Just appreciation all the way.
Right.
It's just the AirMart appreciation event.
That's right. If you own an aircraft and you are thinking about trading up or moving up, we'd love to have you as our guest.
Okay, great. Well, I'd like to also point out that if you wanted to meet with your sales executive or someone at AirMart, that you can actually set an appointment to meet with them. And that appointment setting function is on our website under our OshKosh page, which is actually pretty fun. It's worth going to take a look at. BT Web Group, who produces this podcast for us, also produces our website. And they set up that page for us. It's got a little countdown and some fireworks and a way to make a reservation. So OshKosh 2024 is quickly approaching, and I hope that y'all have gotten some good advice and some great insights from our team that went in 2023. We hope that you'll come and see us at the AirMart tent. We're right there by Garmin. You can't miss us. Giant tent with AirMart on the top. And if you'd like to make an appointment to see your sales executive or RSVP to one of our events like our dinner or our luncheon, you can go to airmart.com/OshKosh 2024. Before we sign off, let me give you a sneak peek into our next episode. We'll dive deep into the Cirrus aircraft world, exploring what makes these planes stand out in general aviation. So thank you for listening to the On Approach podcast. If you like what you heard here today, please visit us and leave us a like or subscribe so that you don't miss an episode in the future. Until next time, I'm Kim Sutherlin. Thank you for joining us, and safe flying.
Thank you for tuning in to On Approach, your go-to podcast for expert insights in general aviation. Join us next time for another smooth descent into the exciting realm of On Approach, proudly brought to you by AirMart. AirMart is a family-owned and operated aircraft brokerage that has been serving the aviation industry for over 50 years. We provide everything you need to make buying, leasing, or selling an aircraft simple and rewarding. Visit airmart.com to learn more.